How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another automotive news video, but before we get into today's video, definitely be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and also click the bell icon down there as well if you are subscribed but aren't getting notified whenever I post a video. And also comment down below what you guys think of this next generation of the Mustang that was just kind of revealed to us in renders today. I'm really interested to see your opinions. This is going to be definitely like a shorter video today, but I just had to make something on it because obviously I'm a huge Mustang fan. I have a Mustang. You would know that if you've been subscribed to my channel for time now. But needless to say, I'm definitely very excited to see this next generation of the Mustang, this new S650. I honestly cannot wait to see the direction that Ford is going to go in with this new Mustang. But anyways, getting into today's first article that we're going to be taking a look at, and this is actually just from Car and Driver. Now, I always look at Car and Driver and Motor Trend just literally almost on a daily basis, and I just saw this pop up. They don't have a lot of information, but this is kind of just a little illustration of what the new S650 should look like. Really not that much of a difference. And if you've seen my one video where I talk about the little spy pictures of the new generation Mustang that was caught, I believe back like a few months back now, or maybe like this past like March or February, it doesn't look that much different than the S550. Now, the main changes we're going to see are probably going to be in the drivetrain. There's definitely going to be some different added features, or maybe they take some stuff away from the current S550. And also, a lot of people are questioning whether this Mustang is going to have an electric trim, whether it's just going to be electric, or if they're going to keep the 5.0 V8, if they're going to go to another V8, if they're just going to have like a V6 Mustang and then an electric GT. So there's a bunch of different possibilities that Ford could go with. Now, I know I just said V6 before, but what I meant to say is inline-4 turbo. Because I sometimes forget, being a V6 Mustang owner myself, I sometimes forget that they stopped making the V6s. But if Ford just wanted to be boring, they could, you know, just go for a turbo inline-4 and then the 5.0 GT, or they can do those two trims and then an electric trim a little bit separate. I know they have the Mach-E, but the Mach-E isn't really a Mustang car, I guess. I honestly hate calling that thing a Mustang. I know some people love it, some people hate it. I made a video a couple weeks ago about it, and there's some opinions down in the comments. But I just think that that's not really a true Mustang, because it's more of like an SUV. Not that that's anything wrong with it, but it's just more of an SUV to me. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do actually add an electric car Mustang to their lineup. And here is actually the tweet that confirms the release of the 7th gen Mustang. And as you can see, Ford is just keeping everything very secretive. And then here are the actual spy photos that we talked about like a couple months back. And this is actually on Fox News, by the way. I'll link the Car and Driver article as well as this Fox article down in the description below. Neither one of them really have that much information because there's just not really any information out there. And here are the actual renders courtesy of Mustang7G.com. So I'm assuming Mustang7thgen.com. And yeah, it doesn't really look that much different than the S550. You could certainly assume that though in the name, if they're going to be using that S650 as an official name for the new generation. Ford has done this in the past. Except they haven't really done this in like two separate generations. So I'm definitely going to be interested to see how far they really changed this car, or how similar it looks to the 2015 to 2021 Mustangs. Because if you remember, from 05 to 09, those Mustangs were pretty much all the same. And then in 2010, excuse me, they had a little facelift, but they kept the same drivetrain. And then the 2011 and 2014 Mustangs definitely looked a lot different than the 05, 09 ones. But from 05 to 2014, they all fall under that 5th generation rainbow. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this new generation. So unless Ford does something drastic like add an electric trim or like a hybrid trim or something, I think that it's a little bit silly to have just a new generation. Like, they can literally just have a different facelift at that point if they're going to be just that boring, I guess you could say. Now, a couple things that we've seen from this previous generation First of all, the release of it back in 2015, but then probably the most notable change throughout the 6th generation was in 2018 with that 2018 facelift, where they stopped making the V6s, boosts, as well as the GTs got that exterior facelift, and then we saw the change from the first generation, or actually the 2nd generation Coyote engine to the 3rd gen Coyote. And we also got the release of the GT500 back in 2020. And honestly, the GT500 wasn't probably the most significant Shelby of this generation, because as most of you know, the GT350 actually came back in, I believe, 2015 or 2016. And that was like the first time we saw a GT350 since the 60s. So this previous generation has definitely had its highlights. I remember when it first came out and everyone was going crazy over the fact that, oh my god, a Mustang has an independent rear suspension now. You know, Ford is finally in the 21st century. And some people liked it and some people actually kind of disliked it. Because as we all know, with those 5th generation Mustangs, they're definitely crowd killer Mustangs. And some may say that they're even worse than like the newer Mustangs. But some people just, I guess, like that feeling when they're actually driving the car. Now that is pretty much just going to be it for today's video. Again, I know I said it's going to be a short video, but let me know your comments, your opinions, your thoughts, and your predictions about what this new Mustang is going to look like. It's supposed to debut September 14th at the Detroit Auto Show. So yeah, just let me know what you guys want from this new generation, and also whether or not you really think that it should be like necessarily a new generation if it's going to be so similar to the 2015 to 2021 Mustangs. Also, another little side note here, before I end today's video, if we look on the Ford Mustang Wikipedia page, obviously it is kind of sectioned out by generations, and here is the 6th generation Mustang. And then we have another tab for the Mach-E, which has obviously been in production from the 2020 model year to present. So also with this new edition of the 7th gen Mustang, where do you think the Mach-E is going to fall? Like, obviously they're not going to stop production on the Mach-E, so would you consider it to be a 6th generation Mustang, or would you consider it to be a 7th gen Mustang? So that's another little interesting point as well. Again, if you haven't already, definitely be sure to leave a like down below, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps me out a ton as a smaller YouTuber. And like always, thank you guys so much for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one.